This is the Ottawa Senators Outlook. Here is your host, Jack Henry.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Ottawa Senators Outlook. I'm your host, Jack. This is my bracket video for the Stanley Cup playoffs, so let's get right to it. So the first matchup, the second wildcard Vegas Golden Knights, the defending champions, taking on the Dallas Stars, who had the best record in the Western Conference. This is a rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year, but obviously the Vegas Golden Knights won that series. I'm going to go with the safe pick, and the Dallas Stars are going to get their revenge. I have the Dallas Stars winning in 7 games over the Vegas Golden Knights. It's going to be a good series, but I have the Dallas Stars coming out on top. So let's go to the second matchup, the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Winnipeg Jets. This is the first time since, I believe, 2019, since the Colorado Avalanche had a Stanley Cup playoff series where they do not have home ice advantage. So that's the first time in a while since they're not having home ice advantage. And the Winnipeg Jets obviously having a phenomenal season as well. But I think this matchup, and this is a close one, I think it's going to come down to goaltending and which goaltender is going to stand out the most. And I think it's going to be Connor Hellebuyck if the Colorado offense can outscore the Winnipeg's offense, and Alexander Georgiev can be maybe 80% of what Hellebuyck can be. Maybe Colorado has a chance. But I'm going with the goaltender matchup in this one. I'm taking the Winnipeg Jets to win the series. I have them winning in 6 games over the Colorado Avalanche. And there's pretty much your second round matchups. So let's get to the Pacific side of it. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the Nashville Predators. The Predators, as I expected, are a wild card team, and the Vancouver Canucks winning their division after having a phenomenal regular season. And this should be an interesting series. I do think, even though Nashville had a phenomenal run going on an 18-game point streak, they're taking on a beast in the Vancouver Canucks. They have phenomenal depth. They have incredible scoring, and they have a very good back end, and I think they have better goaltending. Vancouver overall is just a better team, and their coach Rick Tocchet is probably winning the Jack Adams. I got to go Vancouver in this one because they're just a logical choice in this one. I have them winning in 6 over Nashville. So let's go to this one, and this one is a bit of an annoying one. The LA Kings taking on the Edmonton Oilers for the 3rd straight year, and Edmonton improving their defense a lot with the Matthias Ekholm deal, and the LA Kings have Cam Talbot in net. Not much has really changed. Obviously, Todd McClellan was the coach of the Kings. He got fired mid-season, and the assistant Jim Hiller came in as the interim coach. DJ Smith, former Sens coach, is the assistant now. But even though the last 2 years Edmonton's won it, I don't think anything's going to change. I still think Edmonton's a better team. I'm picking the Oilers to win the series in 6 over the LA Kings. Let's get to the east side. The second wildcard Washington Capitals take on the New York Rangers, the President's Cup champions. And Washington sneaking their way into the playoffs with the TJ Oshie empty netter against Philly and paving Detroit's way out of the playoffs. So the Washington Capitals, horrible goal differential. I think they're the worst goal differential in hockey that clinched the playoffs. And then the Rangers, President's Cup champions, up and down their lineup, one of the best teams in hockey. And I expect no surprise here. The Rangers are going to win the series in 5 games. I do think the Capitals are going to take a game, but the Rangers are just a way better team, so I got to go with the Rangers. Now this one, this is the 2nd year in a row the Islanders take on the Carolina Hurricanes. And obviously for the Islanders, Patrick Waugh came in as head coach. Carolina, they brought in Jake Gensel, Evgeny Kuznetsov from Pittsburgh and Washington, 2 cornerstone pieces to those teams. Obviously they were 2 of the best, most dominant teams in hockey over the last 15 years. But they're slowly on the decline, even though Washington's in the playoffs. And Carolina just improving from last year, and I thought they were a lot better last year. Carolina just keeps getting better, and obviously they have one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in Rod Brind'Amour. Islanders bringing in Patrick Waugh, Semyon Varlamov playing good. Sorokin kind of had a down year this year based on his Vezina-level goaltending from last year. So with that, I have to go with a safe pick, and I have to pick the Carolina Hurricanes to win the series. I do think the Islanders are going to take 2 games, so I have Carolina in 6. Now the Atlantic Division. Obviously, Detroit, Buffalo, and Ottawa were hoping they would make the jump for the playoffs, but it's the same 4 teams over the last couple years. We have Tampa versus Florida, the Battle of Florida, for, I believe, the 3rd time in 4 years. And the Tampa Bay Lightning are coming in as a wild card, so obviously they aren't the team they used to be when they were winning the Stanley Cups, and they went to the finals a couple years when they lost to Colorado. But I also think, even though the Lightning are a good team, Florida's better, and I think they're running on a hot hand, basically. They have Sergei Bobrovsky in net. He's been playing phenomenal this year, and I just think they have better additions. Kyle Ekpo's over the bottom 6, Vladimir Tarasenko in the top 6, and Their defense is a bit of a question, but they still have Ekblad Montour. They have Forsling in there. Oliver Ekman-Larsson had a good year for them. And then they have some depth pieces in Dmitry Kulikov, per se. But I think Florida obviously has a better team. They have more depth than the Lightning, especially since the Lightning had to suffer the cup tax. So I'm going to have to go with the Florida Panthers to win the series. The Lightning are going to make it an interesting one. I have the Panthers winning this in 7 games. I think the Lightning are going to get some games, and we'll see what happens with Andrei Vasilevsky. He's the X factor for the Tampa Bay Lightning, so we'll see. And now this matchup, a lot of people have been pretty much excited for the Toronto Maple Leafs yet again taking on the Boston Bruins in round 1. And again, we know what the Bruins have done to the Maple Leafs in the past in the playoffs. And I think even though the Leafs did win the series last year, I do think the Boston Bruins are a little bit better this year. Even though losing Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci definitely hurt them, they're still getting phenomenal goaltending. Their decor is among one of the best in hockey, and they still have some good pieces on their offense, highlighted by David Pastrnak. Brad Marchand is in there, Charlie Coyle, and Pavel Zacha down the middle. And even though they weren't on the level of Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, they've been fitting the bill just enough for them to be good down the middle, and that's why the Bruins are as good as they are. I do think it's going to be yet another repeat of history. I have the Boston Bruins winning this, and I have them winning in 7 games. I mean, there's really nothing else I can say on that one. I do think the Leafs will take 3 games, but it's Boston in 7 because what else? Now let's get to the second round. The Dallas Stars taking on the Winnipeg Jets. This is a series I really hope for. I think this is going to be a really exciting series. The Dallas Stars, obviously, with Jake Ottinger in net, he had a really good year as well. Connor Hellebuck probably winning the Vezina Trophy. But I do think Dallas has the better depth than Winnipeg. I do think they have more scoring. And both backends, I would say, are sort of decent. But I have to go with the safer bet here. I'm picking Dallas to go to the conference final for the second straight year. So I have them winning in Winnipeg over 6 games. And now we have 2 Canadian teams in the second round. The Vancouver Canucks taking on the Edmonton Oilers. And a lot of people are picking the Edmonton Oilers to win this series. I can understand why. I think they have 2 of the best playoff performers in the history of hockey. And just in the NHL in general, in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But the Vancouver Canucks, I do think they have way better depth. Their back end is good on both sides of the puck, and their goaltending is miles better. So even though a lot of people are picking Edmonton, I have to go Vancouver in this one. I have Vancouver winning this in 6 games over the Edmonton Oilers, and that'll set up Dallas and Vancouver in the Western Conference Final. On to the east side of things, New York Rangers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. This would be one of the best matchups if this were to be a second round matchup. And again, the President's Trophy curse, obviously the Rangers won the President's Cup in 2015, and since the Blackhawks won the Cup in 2013, the Rangers are the only team when they won it in 2015 to go past the second round, and maybe that's only a thing for them. But the President's Trophy curse is still alive, and I do think the Carolina Hurricanes are a big sleeper. So with that, I'm actually going to pick the Carolina Hurricanes to win the series. I have them winning in 7 over the New York Rangers. It's going to be a good series, but the Hurricanes will get just enough to beat the New York Rangers. And now the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers in the second round. Obviously, this was a first-round matchup last season where the Florida Panthers went on an insane Stanley Cup Finals run. And obviously they lost to Vegas, but the Florida Panthers, like I said, I love what they're doing right now as a team. I think they have a good back end, they have good goaltending, and you can get anything from almost all their lines in their forward course. So Florida's playing good. Boston Bruins, I think they're doing good too, but I do think the Florida Panthers showed them why they were the better team in that series, until obviously they went hot and lost in the Cup final. But I am going to pick Florida to double up Boston. I have Florida winning this in 7 over the Boston Bruins. So again, Boston had another good run, but it'll be just short yet again to the Florida Panthers. So here are your conference finals, Vancouver and Dallas. And this might surprise some people. I do think Dallas is one of the nicest teams in hockey. I actually had them going to the Stanley Cup Finals originally, but I keep saying it. Vancouver has phenomenal depth. They can get scoring from anybody in that forward core. They can get even scoring from Quinn Hughes, Philip Pronik, and even their defensive defensemen. Obviously, they have Nikita Zadorov in there. They have Tyler Myers. He hasn't been a plug as much as he was last year, and like I said, their decor is phenomenal, and Thatcher Demko was playing phenomenal. And I also want to give props to Casey DeSmith. Obviously, He went from Pittsburgh to Montreal in that big Erik Karlsson trade. He got flipped to Vancouver for Tanner Pearson. But he's been able to carry the mailbag, not as a workload, obviously, but he was obviously the backup to Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh, and he's been playing pretty good with the Vancouver Canucks. And I feel like when it comes down to this, it comes down to depth, and I think Vancouver has a better depth. So for the first time since the Montreal Canadiens went to the Cup final in 2021, and for the first time since 2011, I have the Vancouver Canucks going to the Stanley Cup finals. They'll be beating Dallas in 7 games. And now a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference final between the Florida Panthers and the Carolina Hurricanes. This series could honestly go either way. I do think both teams are phenomenal, but I'm always high on the Hurricanes, and even the Florida Panthers are playing really good. I think the Hurricanes get their revenge on the Florida Panthers, and they will go to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time since 2006. They will beat the Florida Panthers in 6 games. And now here you are in the Stanley Cup Finals, the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Vancouver Canucks. And I'm excited for the series. I hope this were to be the Stanley Cup Finals because both teams have some of the best depth. They have 2 of the best coaches in hockey right now. But again, the Carolina Hurricanes, I keep saying it, I do think people sleep on them more than they should. And I think this is their year. They have Jake Gensel, they have Evgeny Kuznetsov, and even their decor, they have Tony DeAngelo and Dmitry Orlov on the bottom pair, but they do have Brent Burns, Brett Pesce, Jacob Slavin, and Brady Shea on that back end. That is one of the best decors in hockey. And then adding some legit threats to their offense and getting good goaltending from Frederik Andersen, even coming back from that injury. And then you have Kochetkov when Antti Raanta really couldn't play well this year. And Kochetkov could be a Calder candidate. But the Vancouver Canucks, obviously, they have some phenomenal pieces as well. But the question is it enough to beat the Carolina Hurricanes? I'm going to say no. The Carolina Hurricanes, in my opinion, are going to win the Stanley Cup over the Vancouver Canucks. They will win it in 6 games. So, there you go. This is my Stanley Cup playoffs bracket. Comment down below your predictions and who you think could win the Stanley Cup. I'll have some videos in the future, so look out for all that. But for now, this is Jack from the Ottawa Senators. Luck and go Sens go.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Ottawa Senators Outlook. For more of this podcast, click on the videos on the left and subscribe by clicking on the icon on the right. Thank you.